So yeah, hi, thank you Stephen for being here with us. Could you tell us a little bit about your background and your research interests?
Okay, so I have a PhD in political science from the University of Florida, and I've been working primarily in sub-Saharan Africa. My first research projects were in Botswana, in the capital city, Gaborone. But since then, over the last 7-8 years, I've added a broader, more comparative dimension to my research, and looking both at other cities in Africa, but also cross-regional comparisons. So one of the cities that I've been doing research in recently has been Detroit in the U.S. And so in here apart from my research, I teach in the Department of Global Political Studies here in Malmö and in the Peace and Conflict Studies program.
So also, what is your role at the institute?
I'm on the board. So yeah, so that's so yes, I've been doing that since the institute was started a year ago now.
And it's very exciting, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was actually on field work last fall, and then on parent leave last spring. So I haven't really been around, but a lot of exciting things have been happening in my absence. But I'm happy to be back on a more sort of regular schedule and be able to contribute and participate in the meetings and that sort of thing.
So you've mentioned a bit of the work you're doing. What are your recent projects right now? And also I think it could be quite interesting to see how you perceive the importance of it, like the timeliness.
Okay. So I'm a co-PI of a Formus project with a colleague in Uppsala at the Nordic Africa Institute, and then also involving other researchers in Denmark, Malawi, and elsewhere in Sweden. And it's looking at the practice and politics of climate change adaptation mitigation at the urban margins. And urban margins, I guess, means two things in this particular context. It means that we're looking more at secondary cities, so cities that are maybe a bit more off the map from the usual sort of big capital cities or places that attract like lots of investment. And I guess one of the questions that we're asking is thinking about how people on the margins, so vulnerable urban populations. That could be gender, that could be disability, that could be race or class. How in places in which the state has varying capacity to act, so in terms of technical ability or financial resources, or sometimes even the interest to help out sort of marginal communities, how these people respond and adapt and mitigate the effects of climate change. And specifically, I think like some of the things that we're looking at are things related to like urban flooding and water management, food security, urban agriculture, and participatory planning. And so those are some of the themes that we're looking at. And I guess why is this important? Well, as practically, from a practical level, thinking about that climate change is obviously a significant problem. It affects it tends to affect the most poorer populations or people that are more precarious circumstances. And so thinking about in places where resources aren't necessarily present or forthcoming, how do these people manage? I think conceptually and theoretically, like why this is interesting, is that kind of the idea that we're foregrounding Africans as experts, that sort of like learning from what people are doing in Mozambique, Malawi, and Lusaka in Zambia, and being able to think about what they're doing, how they're doing it, and how those practices and strategies might be beneficial to Sweden or to North America or so the other places in the urban global north. So I guess kind of rethinking and reframing the way that expertise and sort of conceptual knowledge comes from. So
having that in mind, do you have any exciting projects coming up? Any exciting ideas?
Well, there's a couple things, right? And so connected to this Formus project, we're running a workshop in Malawi at the end of October, funded in part by Formus and also in part by the institute here. So thanks. And so and the first, so we're going to be in Malawi, in Lilongwe, the capital, for a few days, and there we're going to just do some paper presentations and do some field site visits. and meet municipal authorities and local civil society activists, and bring these people into conversation. And we've got researchers connected to the project, but also more broadly from the region. So we've got like both the Malawi perspective, the regional perspective, and the global perspective, and trying to understand some of the issues that we're looking at in a broader context. And then on the latter part of the week, on Thursday and Friday, we're going to go to our institutional partner at the Malmö University of Science and Technology, and we're going to run methods workshops for junior faculty and grad students there. So that are people that are working on urban development or sustainability or climate change issues, and bring in sort of our social science perspectives and how they might use social science methodologies to look at or investigate these more technical concerns. So that's the immediate thing. I guess connected to some of the broader research projects. For example, I'm involved in a project on do-it-yourself urbanism. So I guess this is the chance where I get to plug my book. So we're co-editing, myself and the other investigator and PI for this project, co-editing a book on do-it-yourself urbanism in African cities, which will come out next fall of 2020. So it's never too early to order your copies online. So, yeah.
Well, that's been really interesting. Thank you so much for sharing your research and enthusiasm with us. And we'll be waiting for the book.
Yeah. Well, me too. Yeah. So, thanks a lot.
Very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.